We're doing a test right now to see if bacon can fly. Can bacon fly? I think bacon can fly. Holy cow, that's crazy.
I don't know what it is that you've done to me, 'cause my heart starts beating triple time with thoughts of loving you on my mind.
Meanwhile,
Tropes. We see them everywhere. The opinions abound, whether you hate them or whether you love them. But let's be honest. We can talk about the different tropes we like and dislike. The truth is, tropes exist because they exist in real life, not just in anime and video games. Well, it's Valentine's. Let's talk a little bit about love. I want to talk about my personal favorite trope. One that we see everywhere, all over video games, animes, storylines of all kinds, honestly. The girl who is head over heels for the guy who is completely clueless. I've seen a lot of people complain about this trope specifically, and I understand why, but I want to go over why I really like this trope, and I'll also talk about probably the main criticism. So, hello ladies and lords, hello world, my name is Mink Daddy. Let's talk about the oblivious love interest. My love for this trope started, like many things, with Fire Emblem. Specifically, Ephraim and Tana, the warrior prince and the princess of the neighboring country who has simply become smitten by his awesomeness. But let's be real, we've all seen this kind of story everywhere. And my interest in it, I think, partly stems from an important point that I want to bring up here. I am a psychology student and currently studying and working to become a marriage and family therapist. This is a common thing. This is something that happens in real life. Do things like the tsundere, do they exist in real life? Yes, they do. But I would maybe argue that this trope, the oblivious love interest, is one of the most common tropes in real life. I've talked to so many women who have a very similar story to this, where they keep giving the signals to the guy, but he is just not picking up on it. He is completely oblivious to it. And you know what? I can't help myself. I think it's cute. I think it's a fun way to do a love story. You go through this long story of two friends. She wants to be more than friends. He has no idea what's going on. And then eventually he sees the truth and they end up getting together. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. And I think it's pretty common in real life too. Now, granted, that doesn't mean it happens to everybody. There's plenty of romantic guys out there. And maybe this is also the biggest reason why I like this trope. Because that's me. I am so oblivious when it comes to love. I am not the romantic type whatsoever. When I first met my wife, I was living with my parents at the time. She knocks on the door and she says, "Hi, I made you some cookies. Here you go. Good to see ya." And then I'm just talking to my parents afterwards and say, "Oh, look at this, Mom and Dad. What a nice girl. Girls are nice. They just give you cookies sometimes." And my mom and dad both stare at me and just laugh and say, "Garrett, girls don't just give you cookies. This girl is in love with you."
You serious?
Oh, this was totally me. I am a very oblivious guy. You gotta hit me with a romantic 2x4 for me to know that you have interest in me. So I relate to this so much that I guess that might be the biggest reason why I like it. But because I see it everywhere, I just wanted to take the time to defend it a little bit. So, its biggest criticism, and I think it's a very fair criticism. A lot of people don't like this trope because it has the potential to simplify the female character. That is true in some cases. My niece is a big Sonic fan, so she's told me a little bit of the history about Amy, and how there's people that get frustrated with how into Sonic should Amy be. Should she be really into him, or should it be more of a side part of her personality? I can totally understand where people come from with this. They don't want it to be used as a way to downplay women. And I say that because it's most commonly used with female characters. I do want to make sure I'm absolutely clear about this. This trope should never be used as a way to downplay the female character. The female character should not be there just to be the girl for the hero. Make sure that they actually have a character, and this can be part of that character. I do see people, however, exaggerate. For example, I've been showing images of Sharia and Asbel from Tales of Graces. Some people have this weird idea that Sharia's only character trait is the fact that she's in love with Asbel. That is just flat out false. Sharia is actually a very well written character, but she also happens to be in love with Asbel. It's not her only defining character trait. And this is what I mean. Sometimes I think people exaggerate and feel like every time this trope happens, it's always done in a way that diminishes the female character. I don't think so. Sometimes yes. But at the same time, I do think it's not fair to just assume malicious intent behind this, when I really do believe this trope was just designed because it's relatable for many people, not just women even. Tropes are at their strongest not when they're there just to be there or be fun, but when they're there to be related to. We're human beings. Love is a huge motivator for us. It makes total sense, especially when, like I talked about, we see that it's a common story for many women. Then yes, this is a great relating tool for your audience when you make a story. So no, I do not think this trope is inherently bad, and I will continue to defend it. But again, you do have to do it right. I want to make sure I make that abundantly clear. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the opposite. When you have the clueless girl and the head over heels guy. This is not as common, but it's totally cute and works as well. What do you know? Fire Emblem Sacred Stones has this as well, with Lute and her childhood friend Artur. Artur loves Lute. You can tell that he has a really big crush on her. But Lute is a prodigy mage, a genius, and frankly is very full of herself and very quirky. She does not have any idea that he is actually in love with her. I wanted to bring this up to clarify that I love this trope regardless. It doesn't necessarily have to be the woman loving the man, but I focus on that version for two reasons. One, as I mentioned, it seems to be the most common, and two, because it's the one that gets criticized the most. Now, I think we should be criticizing this trope anytime an important character is downplayed into just a love interest. But for some people, it's a bigger issue when it's the female character. Now, that alone I don't like, but my main message I'm trying to get across here is that this trope is not meant to be disrespectful. It's meant to be relatable. Pretty much all I wanted to talk about. It's just kind of a simple video expressing that I have this real love for this and I don't ever want it to go away. I think it's something that can work well as long as you put character development first and have this be a fun side thing. I think that's fine. And you know what? I think most people do like it. Now granted, you don't necessarily have to like it, and I can understand why, but I do think we need to acknowledge the fact that this is actually a real thing. People fall in love, and the other person doesn't necessarily dislike them, they're just completely oblivious to it. But I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Feel free to let me know on anything I talked about, what you think, and have a very happy Valentine's Day with the people you love. And if you want to stick around for more content of mine, especially if it's Fire Emblem content, then don't forget to subscribe.